I didn't realize this until I stopped using my phone for a bit, but I'm actually really bad at texting. And people have told me this before, but I never realized just how bad of a problem it was until recently. Not because I hate texting, I actually really like it, but there are just so many factors that'll affect whether I reply or not. One of them being the fact that if you message me on the wrong app, you might just never hear from me ever again. So I actually made a ranking of most likely to reply to least likely. iMessage is number 1. I will never miss a text on iMessage. Like, if you text me there, I will respond. But obviously, that requires the other person to have an iPhone, which not everyone does. And the most common alternative to iMessage is WhatsApp. But for me, WhatsApp is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I'm not gonna lie, I basically never reply on WhatsApp. Half the time, I don't even read the message. And after iMessage, it's probably Instagram. Just because everyone's on Instagram, so it's the most convenient. Also, I feel like it's the easiest way to keep up with people, because instead of texting every single person an update of your life, you can just post a story and call it a day. But I miss a lot of messages on Instagram too, because half the time it's just like, replied LMFAO to your story, or someone sends the most unfunny reel that I've ever seen, and I don't know how to respond to that. Like, what do you even say? I only have like 4 people on Snapchat, but I'm actually a bit better at replying there. But I hate Snapchat, so it goes below Instagram on my ranking because it sucks. I think I'm probably better at replying there because I can't read the full message from the notification. Because a lot of the time, I'll read the message, reply in my head, and then just never actually respond or open it. And then 2 days later, I'll remember and be like, oh, that probably looked really rude. But at that point, replying feels even worse. So I just leave it. Because when it's a few hours, it's normal. And after a day, it's slightly awkward. But if it's been multiple days, now replying feels insane for me. Like, what am I even supposed to say? Hey, sorry, I just saw this, when both of us know that isn't true. It feels more like reopening the conversation instead of continuing it. And this mindset has gotten me into situations before. Like the summer before university started, there were all these group chats and online forums where people were trying to get to know each other before the semester started. I started talking to this one girl, and it was going fine. But then I did that thing where I saw her message and thought, I'll reply later, and then just didn't. And at first it's fine, like a few hours go by, whatever. But then it turns into a day, and then 2 days, and then 3. And at that point, replying feels worse than not replying. So I just left her undelivered. Then first year starts and I meet her in real life, and she ends up becoming one of my closest friends at the school. But she will never let me forget how I left her undelivered before university started. And I have nothing to say because she's right. In my head, it felt like we just stopped talking naturally, like it was somehow mutual. But then she called me out on it, and then I realized that it wasn't mutual. I just disappeared. And I do this more often than I'd like to admit. Most of the time, it's not intentional. I'll genuinely just forget and have to hear about it later. But sometimes it's on purpose. One time, I was avoiding replying to this guy, and he called me out in front of our classmates, and it was mortifying. But this is just one-on-one texting. I'm actually the opposite with group chats. I basically always read them, but I still have opinions about them. I love a small group, like 2 or 3 other people. I think that's perfect, because it's not as awkward as one-on-one. Everyone talks, nothing gets lost, and it actually feels like a conversation. And there's less pressure to reply, which somehow makes me more willing to reply. And even though there's more people, it feels more casual and less performative. But then it gets bigger. And once it gets bigger than like 5 people, it changes. It's good for planning things, but for actual chatting, there will inevitably be lurkers. And I know they're probably not even checking the chat, because when I'm a lurker, I never check chats. But it still feels like they're watching, which I don't like. I remember at the start of uni, we had one main group chat, and every time we made plans, we'd invite more people, so they'd get added to the chat. And it just kept growing until it was like 20 people. But it was the same 5 people actually talking, and the same 10 people who would show up to events. And everyone else was just there. I fully walked past some of these people, but I wouldn't be able to recognize them. And they've been in the chat for months. Also, this might be niche, but I don't like when people make a new group chat for every function, especially when it's the same core people every time. Because now I'm in 5 different chats with basically the same people, just slightly rearranged. And then the plan happens, and immediately after, the chat dies. No one ever speaks in it ever again, but it still sits there cluttering my messages. So then when I open my messages, it's just a bunch of dead chats and half-replied conversations. And at that point, it feels like there's too much to respond to. So instead of replying to everything, I end up not replying to anything, which is kind of exactly how I end up with my problem of being a bad texter in the first place. And that's how I text people. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.